Welcome to CC United's 2015 Rec Soccer Coaches Training. Our goal today is to give you an idea of what is expected of you as a coach, what your players need, and to give you all the tools you need to have a successful season for you and your players. Now, we'll have more information sent out along with this video dealing with the rules of the game, uniforms, pictures, and all that. But right now, we're going to talk about what you need to know to actually coach the kids, what you need to be successful during your practices and games. So, a quick introduction. My name is Joe Sorchik. I am the Assistant Director Coaching at CC United and also the head goalkeeper coach here at the club. I am also the head coach for the Chanhassen Girls High School Soccer Program. I hold an NSCAA Advanced National Diploma, a USSF National D license, and an NSCAA Advanced National Goalkeeping Diploma. So to start, let me ask, why are you here? This may sound like an unbelievably simple question. I want to teach kids soccer. I want to coach my kid. Or for many of you, no one else stepped up and someone's got to do it. Whatever your reason, let's take a deeper look at why you're here. What motivates you as a coach? What drives you? What excites you? There's lots of reasons people decide to coach, and there's lots of different types of coaches. What type of coach are you? Do you love the big game? Do you love competing? Do you want to teach your kids the value of competition? Do you want to teach them the joy of winning? Do you like the way the game helps you grow as an individual? Hopefully you're not looking for money. But do you like the personal growth, the new skills you learn? Do you like the feeling of giving back to the community? Or do you appreciate the game of soccer and want to teach kids your style? Teach them how to defend. Teach them how to create opportunities. Teach them how to possess the ball. Which one of these coaches are you? Do you think you're more than one? Do you think maybe you can even be all three? Which coach are you? Unfortunately, this is a trick question. The answer is you should be none of them. All of these coaches are motivated by how the game impacts them, what they get from the game. All of these coaches are motivated by personal benefit. So why are you here? This should be why you're here. As we go through this today, what I want you to remember, the most important thing, not the most important thing, the only thing we're worried about is what's best for the kids. How can we create the best possible experience and the best possible program for the kids? So now we've talked about what we want to get out of each practice and each game as a coach. But what do the kids want from the program? What are they looking for? Why do the kids come to practice? Why do they come to games? Why do they participate in this program? Why do we care what they want? If we want them to work hard for us, if we want them to pay attention, if we want them to focus, we need to then look and say, what is it you want? What are you looking for? If we're meeting the needs of the players and we're meeting what they're looking for, then they'll give us the effort in practice. They'll work hard in games. So let's take a minute and talk about our average high school varsity player. What are they looking for? Why are they here? Why are they part of a program? Why do they come to practices? What do they want to see in games? The average high school varsity player is typically very goal-oriented. They want to win. They want to be successful. They want to grow as an individual player. They want to feel like they're part of a team and that they're contributing to the success of that team. They want to see their level of contribution grow. They want to see their team be successful. This is what they're looking for. They want to see practices that help them reach those goals. They want to see in games that they're stepping closer to that. So as a coach, when I look at developing practice plans, when I look at how we're handling games, this is what we're looking for. Now, if my practices are boring, repetitive, physically demanding, as long as they see that this is stepping them to where they want to be, they will accept it. They'll buy into it. And they'll give us the effort. They'll give us the focus. Now, why do I mention what we're looking for in high school players when we're talking about coaching younger players here? The reason is a lot of rec coaches I see treat their young players like they're high school athletes. If you ask them, what is it your players want? Well, they want to win. They want to be successful. They want to get better. That's a common perception of what a young athlete wants. But let's take a look at this. What does the young athlete really want? What are they looking for? Why do they come to practices? Why do they come to games? Why are they participating in the program? What is it that motivates them? What do they want to get out of this entire thing? Well, the average rec player, they're looking for things that are fun. That's it. That's the extent of what they're looking for. So what does this mean? Well, what this means is we need to find a way to make sure they're having a good time. We need to make sure they're having fun. As long as they're having fun, they'll give their attention to us. They will work hard. They'll play for us. Now, this is where a couple of coaches always roll their eyes. Why did I sign up to be a coach if all you want me to do is babysit? If all you want me to do is entertain them? Well, that's not the case. That's not what we're looking for. But what we're trying to figure out here is when we take a look at all the objectives we set out, all the things that we want to accomplish, we want to make them better people. We want to teach them how to work hard. We want to teach them how to work within a team. We want to teach them individual responsibility. We want to teach them soccer skills. We want to make them better soccer players. We want to make them better soccer teams. But as we're trying to accomplish this, we need to make sure that we're also achieving their goals, that we're achieving what they want out of it. So while we're trying to accomplish everything that we want to do as a coach, we want to accomplish everything they want as a player, which in this case is it's got to be fun. So what that means is everything we hope to accomplish, we want to hide it in something fun. So again, looking back at what we want to accomplish, we're just going to hit this real quick again. We want to give them a sense of team. We want to get them to understand their role within the team. We want them to develop focus, determination. We want to promote a positive self-image. We want to foster a strong work ethic. We want to teach them soccer skills and tactics. Now, when I talk about soccer skills, we're talking about passing technique. Now, with passing, it's not only being able to pass the ball to a teammate, but being that teammate and being able to receive a pass. We want to teach them to dribble. Teach them to dribble and keep the ball close so that they can control it. We also want to teach them how to dribble for speed to get down the field. And how do they dribble to get by a defender? We want to teach them how to be a defender. How do you stop the ball? How do you win it back so we can go try to score for our team? We want to teach them finishing. Now, finishing is basically once you get in a position, can we put the ball in the back of the net? And for some age groups, we're going to work on goalkeeping. When we talk about tactics, we're talking about not what does the individual do, but what do we do as a team? How do we pass as a team? How do we create opportunities? Does the player on the ball look to find people to pass to? Do the players off the ball look to receive a pass? We're looking for, can we defend as a team? Can we get 2 or 3 kids together to help stop the ball, win it back so we can attack? Once we get it, how do we attack? And we want to talk about set pieces. When the ball goes out of bounds or when there's a foul, how do we put the ball back in play and give our team a chance to create something positive? And again, how do we do all this while keeping it fun? That is the main thing that we're trying to talk about today. How do we teach all these skills and life lessons to players while making sure they still have a good time? Now, as we talk about this, let's remember, what can we expect from a young player? What is it that they are able to give us? Now, if we have a session where they're standing around, they're going to get bored. So what this means is you look back at the old drills that a lot of us did as kids, where you have one player going and 7 kids in line, and then number 2 goes, and then number 3 goes, and number 4 goes. And by the time number 5 gets to be their turn, they've lost interest. If they're standing around, they're going to get bored. If we are going from practice, exercise 1, and now we go to exercise 2, and the time it takes to set up the cones, get the pennies out, get the balls together, and transition to exercise 2, if that takes 3 minutes, they're bored. We need to keep them moving. We need to keep them active. If they're doing something and they're losing, or they're struggling and they're not doing well, they're going to get frustrated. So what this means is we need to make sure we find a way to keep everybody active, positive, pushing towards a goal. If we ask too much, they're going to get confused. If the game is too complicated, if the instructions are too complex, they're going to get confused. So as we develop our practice plans, we want to make sure we keep it simple, we keep it active, and we keep it fun. So let's talk about a few ways we can do this. Now, as we go through a few ideas here, these are practice plans directly from the CCU United website. So you can go on the website, print these out, and you're off and running. They're all divided into categories of dribbling, passing and receiving, finishing, defending. So you can simply pick, I want to work on dribbling today. Go to the website and find one of the age-appropriate dribbling sessions. And again, they're divided by age. So when you go to the pre-K coaching page, you will get practice plans that are tailored towards the pre-K age group. Now, for example here, a dribbling exercise. Now, we're starting off in this one with a game of tag. Now, kids love tag. They've been playing tag for as long as we can remember. When your kids show up, if you put them in a square, put everybody inside and say, this player is it. If you get tagged, you're it. The kids will do it. They'll love it. It's tag. Everybody loves tag. Now, the first question a lot of coaches will ask is, okay, that's great. They're having fun. Is this teaching them soccer? Now, to some extent, it's teaching them spatial awareness. We're working on balance, acceleration. So there are some good lessons we learn from tag, but it's true. We're not really playing soccer yet. How can we make this a game of soccer while still having them have fun? What if everyone plays tag with a ball at their feet? That's it. You have to dribble. You have to try to play tag while dribbling a ball. So while they're playing tag, that's all they're really paying attention to. We're working on dribbling. Now, if you want to take a second, you can pause the game and say, let's talk about dribbling for a minute. Can we use the inside of our foot? Can we keep the ball close? Can we keep balanced? And let them get back to playing tag. So a simple game of tag that the kids will enjoy can be turned into a very valuable dribbling lesson for the players. Now you look at option number 2 here, the second game. This is amoeba tag. Now what this does is, as a player is tagged, they become part of the tagging team. So now the tagger and the person they just tagged, they're going to lock arms, and the two of them have to run around together and try to get the players with the balls. Eventually this turns into 4 or 5 kids with their arms locked. Now what this will allow is it gives a little more time, it slows down the taggers, so the players have a little more confidence on the ball. They're still dribbling, we're still working on that, but now they have a little more confidence in trying to beat the big amoeba. It also works on teamwork. They have to learn to communicate. They have to work together. So now in addition to dribbling, we're working on some team building and leadership skills. So here's another option, and this is one of my favorites, especially for the really young players. Me and my shadow. Now what we do here is we take our team and we pair them up so everybody has a partner. Now real quick, this brings up one of the great questions you get from a lot of coaches. What do I do when I have an odd number? Easy. The coach can hop in and play. You're never too old for a good game of me and my shadow. So what we do is we pair them up. If you have an odd number, you partner up with one of the kids. And in each pair, one player will be the real person and one player is the shadow. So what the shadow is going to do is stand right behind the real person, and whatever the real person does, they're going to do it and try to stay right behind him. The job of the real person is to try to lose their shadow. So what they start learning is, I can lose someone with change of direction, change of speed. Can I deceive them a little bit? Now again, is this a soccer exercise? Are they learning soccer? Somewhat. Yeah, there's some very good soccer lessons here. But it would be even better with a ball. So we can teach them the game without the balls. Now they have fun. And now we give the real person in each exercise a ball. So now they're going to try to dribble. But they're not just dribbling to control the ball. They're dribbling to see at times, can I dribble for speed? Can I get away? Can I change direction and try to lose my shadow? And then, of course, after a little bit of time, we switch. The shadow becomes a real person. The real person becomes the shadow. So here's another one we can do. And this is a very good example of a low pressure exercise. With younger kids, and honestly, even with the older kids early in a practice session, you want to try to limit the pressure. If I am working on dribbling, but as a player, every time I touch the ball, a defender kicks it out of bounds and I have to go chase it down, I'm not really learning how to dribble. So we need them to keep doing the exercise. At the same time, if we say dribble from this cone to that cone, we've satisfied the goal of there's no pressure, but at the same time, is this going to excite the player? They're very quickly going to start walking and saying, this is boring. So we're trying to keep them moving. We're trying to keep them active while not giving them anything that's going to be too difficult to overcome. So a good example, this is the builders and breakers game. So we take all of our cones, and half of them you put down like you're supposed to put down a cone, and half of them you put down upside down. These are our broken cones. And we divide the kids into two teams. One team is builders. Their job is to make sure that all the cones are set up the way a cone is supposed to. And the other group is breakers. They do everything they can to try to turn every single cone upside down. Now again, to first make sure they get the game and the way it works, we do it without a ball. So we have half of them going around flipping all the cones over, and half of them flipping them upside down. Now the great thing about this game, of course, is while they're trying really hard to win, no one ever wins. All they have to do is flip one cone over and the builders can't win. And while the builders go over to flip that cone and set it up, the breakers flip another one over. It's kind of like having a 2-year-old for a kid. Every time you clean something up, they find a new mess for you. So we let them do that, and then after that, we give them a ball. So now we're going to do the exact same thing, but we have to be dribbling. Now, what we want to make sure, of course, is that they are truly dribbling. They're trying to control the ball. They're not just kicking it around, grab a few cones, go back, find their ball, kick it real quick. So tell them that whenever you flip over a cone, you have to have your foot on the ball. So now, as they're going to get too close to a cone, they have to bring the ball under control. Little touches to get to the cone, put their foot on the ball, flip the cone over. Another one here is kick out. Now this is a game that I remember playing even when I was a kid. And everyone in the square has a ball, and your job is to protect your ball while kicking out everyone else's in the square. The last one left with their ball is the winner. So for the weak kid, who's not very good at this yet, your weakest dribbler, what happens is 5 seconds into the game, their ball gets kicked out. And they're out, and they sit on the side. And they wait for the game to end. And of course, your best player, the best dribbler, is the winner. He celebrates, and we bring everybody back in again. And now our weakest player, 7 seconds in, gets their ball kicked out. And again, we wait for a minute and a half while the best player dribbles around and keeps his ball away from people. So 3 minutes later, our weakest player has gotten 12 seconds of dribbling practice. Now, obviously, for us as coaches, this is a problem. Not only is our weak player not getting any practice and not getting any better, he's also getting bored and frustrated because he's sitting around and keeps losing. So how can we fix this? So we've taken the kick-out game and we've set up a hospital. Now the hospital is another square off the side a little bit. Whenever your ball gets knocked out, you go to the hospital and you have to perform a task to get back in the game. Now maybe for some of our older kids, it's can you juggle the ball 3 times? Once you juggle the ball 3 times, you get back in the game. Maybe you have to do 10 toe taps. Now a toe tap is just where you put your right foot on top of the ball, and then you put your left foot on top of the ball, and then your right foot. You do that as fast as you can. Maybe we say you have to dribble all the way around the hospital. So you start in one corner, dribble all the way back around. When you come back, now you're back in the game. What this is going to do is it's going to keep all the kids active. It's going to keep them moving. It's going to keep kids from losing. So it keeps them excited, keeps them motivated, and they're still constantly working on dribbling. Another idea here for you, a passing exercise. Now, one of the common passing exercises is you set the kids up in lines 3 to 5 yards apart and pass back and forth. And as a coach, you work with them on using the inside of the foot stepping next to the ball, following through to your target, keep it on target. It's effective, but unbelievably boring for the kids. So they don't really have that excitement. They very quickly turn off. So in this game, it's called bowling, but I guess honestly it's very close to bocce ball. The coach will take a ball that looks very different from what the kids have. Just make sure it's one that they can recognize, and line the kids up, and the coach passes the ball out in the field. The player's job then is to pass the ball as close to the coaches as they possibly can. Okay, so now they're working on the weight of the pass. How hard do I have to kick it? Can I keep it on target? Again, if you want, you can still, in between each ball that you kick out, give them a little coaching advice. Explain to them, try this. Maybe this will help. And then go back out to your ball and send it somewhere else. So this, again, is a low pressure because there's no defenders trying to kick the ball away. But it's still a very good exercise that the kids will enjoy. And hopefully over the course of 12 or 15 balls that you play out, all your players get to win one eventually. Now, finishing is a difficult one. One of the problems with any finishing exercise is we're shooting on a goal. It's tough to have more than one player shoot on a goal at a time. And I've seen a lot of coaches will line the kids up, play the ball out to player number 1, who shoots. Play the ball out to player number 2, who shoots. And the other players are sitting there waiting. The other issue we have is you put a goalkeeper in goal to try to stop the shot. Now the problem is we're doing an exercise where we want the shooters to be successful. So we're trying to give them the advice, put them in a situation where they're going to be successful. They're going to score lots of goals. And then we're going to put a kid in front of the goal and say, oh, by the way, you're going to fail a lot because they're going to score lots of goals. So can we find an exercise where they can practice shooting where everyone is active, everyone is involved, and no one has to be the kid that stands in goal and gets balls pelted at them? So this one here is called Clean Your Room. We divide the field into 2 halves. And all we want them to do is to try to shoot the ball from their room into the other team's room. Now there's lots of little ways you can adjust this. You can say for everyone that you play out the backside of the other team's room, you get a point. You can play for 90 seconds and say at the end we're going to count, and whoever has the most balls in the room loses. So the idea then is I'm trying to kick it hard enough to get it into the room, but not so hard that it flies out the back. One of the issues you'll run into sometimes is you'll find that all the kids are standing right on the line, they kind of pack in. We can create a buffer. So as you see on the bottom exercise there, we have mom and dad's room, which, for those of you who don't speak British, that's mom and dad's room. That is simply a channel in between that no one can go into. So now we have to kick across that channel, and depending on the age, you can make that channel as big or small as you need to. I said obviously with pre-Ks and Ks, you're fine without the channel. When you get to first and second graders, maybe you want to have a channel, maybe 3 yards across. When you start getting to third graders, fourth graders, all the way up to seventh graders, by seventh graders, maybe we want to see a 15-yard channel that they have to kick it across. So now when you look at this exercise, we are working on kicking the ball with power. We can take some time to coach them on using the laces. Can we get our head over and really kick through it? Can we follow through? But everybody's involved. So now everyone is shooting. Everyone's working on this all at the same time. Now at the end of the session, whatever you're working on, what you want to do, of course, is you want to progress through it, get more complicated as we go on, get more complex. We can start adding some pressure as we get later in the session. But at the end, we always want to end in a game. And it wants to be as close to the real game as we can. So we should have goals, and they're trying to score. Now, it doesn't have to be exactly like the game you'll play on Saturday. Now, if you have another team there and you guys want to scrimmage and play 6v6 at 5th through 7th grade, you can do that. If you just want to take your team and say we're going to play 4v4 to small goals, that's fine. That's great. But we want to try at the end to get a connection from whatever we're working on into the real game. So we should always finish with a real game, 2 goals. Okay, so now we've talked about ways that you can present this game to players in a way that is fun, but also that encompasses all that we want to accomplish as coaches. We've talked about ways to keep kids active. We've talked about ways to avoid the frustration of losing. We've talked about ways to keep them motivated, ways to keep them involved, ways to alter games depending on your players, what you want to accomplish, how many you have show up. All of that, when you look at it, it can be a little overwhelming. It can be a little bit intimidating. You might be looking there saying, now, how am I going to come up with a practice plan that actually does all this? Let's simplify this for you. Number one, if you go to the website and print up one of the lesson plans from the website, it'll do what you need it to. There's coaching points in there to tell you kind of what you need to tell the players. It tells you how to set up the exercise. You'll be fine. But if you decide to be ambitious and I'm going to create my own lesson plan, I've got some games, I've got some exercises, I've got some things I want to do. I've seen a lot of times where that doesn't go well. I'll look out and see a coach and he's got the line drill set up. Yeah, there's a reason we don't have that on the website. It's not fun for the kids. They're not going to enjoy it. You're only working with 1 or 2 kids at a time while the rest are waiting. So if you decide to say, I've got my own thing, here's what you need to ask yourself. Are the activities you planned fun? And for it to be fun, everyone should be involved. Does this lesson plan foster development in one of the areas that I'm working on? So if you're working on dribbling, do all of your exercises help them get better at dribbling? And is everybody active in working on their dribbling? And finally, does it end in a game? So if your exercise is fun, it works on what you want to work on, and it ends in a game. If you answer yes, yes, and yes, that's a great lesson plan. That's really all there is to it. So we gave you some advice before on little ways to tinker with it and what we're looking for, but really that's as simple as it is. Keep it fun, let it have a topic, end in a game. So a little bit of last-minute advice for you. A couple secret gems to make sure you have a successful season. As you step up to be a coach, especially if this is your first time coaching or you are not an expert on the game of soccer, again, this can be very intimidating. This can be a little stressful. One of the best pieces of advice I can give you, be confident. Okay? I promise you'll be fine. If you're not a great soccer player, if you've never coached before, if you're not really an expert on soccer, don't worry about it. I got a little secret for you. You're still better than they are. And that's all it takes. They have something to learn from you. You have experience where you can train kids. You can teach them. Now all you need to do is infuse a little bit of soccer into that, and you'll be fine. If you take our lesson plans from the website and simply teach the practice plan from the website, you'll be fine. Smile and be confident. Another tip for you, be prepared. If you go to your practice and say, I'm going to wing it, those usually don't go well. Sometimes they're okay. They usually don't go well. The other thing I want you to think about is think about your entire practice and have it planned out before you get there. If you have to stop your practice and it takes 3 minutes to set up cones for the next exercise, I need to go get some vests, hang out here a second, I need to go get more balls. If you're lucky, the kids will get bored. If you're not, they will wander off or start wrecking the cones you already set up. So as much as possible, try to keep the practice moving. Think ahead. Have your practice set up so that you can go from one exercise to the next without readjusting, with as little bit of setup as possible. So here's a example layout for a practice plan. So now what we've done here is you can see we have our red square. That's going to be our main training field. That's where we're going to do most of our work. You can see the red square already has 2 blue goals in it. So when we go transition into our final game, I don't have to set anything up. I don't have to go grab goals. they're right there. Now, if you think the goals are going to distract your players, simply put those two blow cones right on top of each other where the goals should be. So when it comes time to set the game up, all we have to do is pick up the cone, walk a few feet, and drop it. And now we're ready to go. And now what I've also done is you see the little yellow square off the side. If you have a separate exercise that you're going to do that just doesn't really, it's not really conducive to what your big field is set up for, set that up off to the side. So we could use this as our hospital if we're doing the knockout game. We could use that to run a relay race to warm them up at the beginning. We can do all kinds of things that little area. And if, of course, if that doesn't fit into what you want, your little area can be a different size. Another little trick, which is actually something I learned from a rec coach a few years ago that was brilliant. You see we have the circle of white cones there. The white cones are the ball base, or maybe it's the home for balls, maybe it's the egg nest. There's all kinds of different things I've seen treated for that. The idea being is anytime a player doesn't have a ball, they don't need it, they put it in the ball base. So if you give them a water break, rather than seeing how far they can punt it, which they do love to do, before they go grab water, they drop their ball in the ball base. Anytime that we transition, say, okay, everybody's got a ball, now I want you to partner up and only one of you needs a ball. The player who's not going to use their ball goes and runs it over the ball base. The idea being is whenever I need balls now, I know where they are. You'll also see on the bottom there the 4 yellow blobs. The software I use to do these lesson plans does not have a graphic for the practice vests. But your pennies, if your players aren't going to wear them at the beginning, make sure that they're near the field. So when it comes time to game time, you're not running off to get them. They're all set up and ready to go for you. Now finally, you sit there and say, I need ideas. This is all great. I need lesson plans. Now I've said several times, you can get lesson plans on the CCU United Soccer website. Now you can't click on these links in this video, but I will forward all these to you so that you have access to these. If you want to look outside the club website, the Minnesota Youth Soccer Association has practice plans on their website. You can also look at U.S. Youth Soccer. If you want to keep exploring more, you can do that. The one thing I will say is make sure you're getting them from a reputable site. There's a few websites out there where the guys claim to be soccer experts, and to be honest, some of the lesson plans they're just terrible. But you can use another website, one of my favorites. I love the Kentucky Youth Soccer Association. They've got some really good stuff on theirs. So you can look around and find lesson plans and ideas just about anywhere. And finally, if you have any questions you can't answer by looking at the website, feel free to give me a call. I've got my email and phone number down there. I would be more than happy to answer whatever questions you have. I'd love to talk to you about some lesson plans. If you're having a challenge you can't seem to get over, give me a call. I would love to chat with you. So, in addition, you can call Jonathan at the club. You can call Alex. All their information is on the website. But if you have any questions, concerns, or just need a hand, feel free to let us know. The last thing I'd like to do is say thank you. And really, really honestly from my heart, say thank you. It means a lot to the kids that you're willing to do this. It is a lot of time, energy that you're giving up to make this a great program for our kids. We really appreciate the time you're putting in, not only to coach the kids, but the time you're taking to learn how to do this job and do it better. It would be very easy for you to fast forward, skip watching the video at all. So if you've gotten this far, I'm going to guess you probably watched the whole thing, and we appreciate it. Anything you can do to make this a better experience for the kids, we appreciate greatly.